Hey, what's up? I'm Seth, and today I'm asking, should I watch with my kids Captain America Civil War? When this movie first came out, my son got a Civil War shirt. And on one side it had Captain America and all his team, and the other side it had Iron Man and all his team, and he thought it was such a cool shirt because it had all these fun superheroes. But my big question was always, would this be a movie that I would share with my kids? So I just recently watched it, and honestly, I still am not sure. There was a lot of things I liked about it, so there were some things I didn't like about it. There were some great questions that I came up with to ask my kids after this movie, but we'll talk about that in a minute. First, what did I like about this movie for my kids? I really like the overall theme that our experiences shape our decisions. I mean, at this point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is the start of Phase 3. You've seen all these Captain America movies, all these Iron Man movies, and you've seen Iron Man, go up against the government and say, no, I'm privatizing the Iron Man, I'm going to be a protector, but I do what I want, and I say what I want to say. And then you have Captain America, who's always been this soldier following orders, but you've seen this evolution of both characters. Iron Man, Tony Stark, was very affected by Avengers Age of Ultron. That was really hard for him to have made that mistake, where he built Ultron to protect the world, and Ultron tried to destroy it. And that wasn't quite what he wanted, and he had to fix some things, and he's feeling pretty guilty about that at the first of this movie, Captain America Civil War. Captain America is in another camp where, he started as a soldier following orders, just doing his best to serve his country. And then after Captain America the Winter Soldier, everything he believed in came crumbling down, and he realized that there was people with some agendas that he didn't agree with, and he doesn't want to be guided by those people anymore. And so you kind of have these two camps starting into this movie. This movie does start off really fun. Oh, by the way, I'll give you a spoiler alert, but this movie's been out for like 8 years, so if you haven't seen it or heard about it, then I don't know. I'm sorry about that. But big spoiler alert. But anyways, I really liked seeing that the actions in these previous movies affected these decisions. Just a quick recap. What has happened is the Avengers are in trouble because they stopped some bad guys, which was great, but in the process, some civilians got killed. And so the government has now enacted what they call the Sokovia Accords, which would place the Avengers under government control, world government control. They would control the Avengers. Iron Man is for it, which again, he hasn't been in the past, but his experiences have led him there. He's saying, let's sign up for it. Captain America is not. The governments of the world are saying, if you're not for it, you are no longer able to protect the world. You are not an Avenger. You retire or you'll be arrested. You are either signed up with the government or you're arrested. And, I think this is a really great thing to have in this movie. I really love that you have these people trying to make these decisions. And that's the next thing I really like about this movie, is that you get to see the people wrestle with these decisions, and you understand that there are good and bad things on both sides. I didn't think anyone was perfectly right. I mean, I saw some really good arguments for Tony Stark's side, and I saw some really good arguments for Captain America's side. And I like that my kids would be exposed to that. So beyond Captain America and Iron Man, there are a lot of other characters in this movie. It's basically an Avengers movie. It really is. I mean, the focus is on Captain America and Iron Man, but all the other characters play a part. And actually, that's the next thing I really like about this movie, is that there are fun character interactions. There's still a lot of fun elements to this movie. This is overall a heavier movie. It's a little bit more serious than some of the other MCU movies because, they're fighting. They're having struggles with what they're trying to do in this movie. But there are still some really fun interactions. I mean, the new characters are just so cool. Spider-Man, I mean, come on. Bringing him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe was just a brilliant move, and Tom Holland does an amazing job. To me, he is the best Spider-Man thus far. I mean, Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse does a really good job too. But I love Tom Holland. I think he's amazing. I love the introduction of Black Panther. And then the other character it's not really a new character, but one that was kind of introduced was Giant Man, right? So Ant-Man, he does become giant in this movie, and that was just fun to see. And all of these interactions while these people are displaying their powers and, basically fighting over their stances is really cool. So that's another thing I like for my kids. It's just fun to see those interactions with these characters that we've gone on this, 10-year journey with. Okay, so those are the things I liked. What didn't I like? Well, first of all, for my kids, I didn't like the poor communication skills that were shown in this movie. Honestly, I get it. They kind of had to escalate things quickly just to get the movie rolling along, but it's at the expense of good communication. You see that there's misunderstandings, that they're not quite explaining themselves very well, that they're not really giving each other grace and understanding with their arguments. There's very little validation in their arguments. Nobody's like, yeah, that's a really good point. I can see that. I also see it this way. And there's no kind of that back and forth of good communication skills. Again, I think they had to do that for this movie just because they wanted to escalate it into a battle of superheroes. That was their whole goal. And so that seemed a little bit forced because honestly, in the real world, you would probably see a little bit better communication, a little bit more understanding there. I mean, they do have a long-lasting relationship, and so that would have been good to kind of see that manifest a little more. Another thing I didn't really like is that you have to take sides, and that you have to fight over those sides. I mean, I like a good debate. I like people having their opinions. I don't think it has to escalate into actual physical fighting. I don't like my kids thinking that. I don't like, being taught that if you can't resolve things, you might as well just fight. Not great. The problem is the fights were really fun too, though, right? I mean, that's stuff you want to see. Another thing I didn't really love for my kids is that the violence got really raw. And actually, from a filmmaker's point of view, I thought that was pretty cool because the movie goes from kind of this, looking at it from a wide point of view where you see everybody, fighting and everything to becoming really close and intimate to you see these punches and fights and it's really raw and close and you feel the pain of these two characters, Captain America and Iron Man, as they're having this really emotional battle. It's not just about what side you're on as far as the Accords. It's really a fighting over each other. It's like almost this battle of brothers, and it's tough to watch. And I get it; it's actually good filmmaking, but I could see at least for my kids how that could be really hard to watch and a little bit scarring, where you have this really bloody Captain America and really bloody Iron Man just beating on each other as hard as they can. And finally, the last thing I didn't like about this movie. And again, this is a big spoiler. So at the end of the movie, Tony Stark finds out that the Winter Soldier, Bucky, murdered his parents. And all of a sudden, he flips a switch and he's okay with murdering him. He just wants to kill him. And I didn't like that character choice per se. I get it. It creates this motivation to have this really final climactic battle where Captain America is justified in trying to protect his friend. But I didn't love that about Tony Stark. I had thought he had kind of grown from being a person who is okay with, killing people, just, facilitating death because that was his job. But then he starts becoming more of a protector and more of somebody who's trying to help people and having a good moral character. And then all of a sudden he's okay with murdering Bucky just because he's really upset with him. Now I get it, killing parents, that's nothing to joke about. That was really sad for him and tough for him. But I didn't just love what I felt like was a turning character, or maybe honestly, maybe I didn't like the fact that maybe it wasn't a turning character. Maybe I didn't quite understand his character. I thought he was more of a moral character, and maybe he wasn't. And that was a little hard. I didn't like that per se, and that's something I'd want to talk to my kids about. So finally, with all that of this liking and not liking, again, this is a big movie. It's a very pinnacle movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the question is, would I share this with my kids? Now, honestly, at this point, not quite yet. Just because I would want to see more maturity in my kids as far as the raw violence is concerned. I want to make sure that is not going to be a problem for them. I'd want to see a little more maturity in their relationship skills, but not just regular relationship skills, but in conflict. So I'd want to understand that this wouldn't imprint on them that conflict is the right way to resolve problems. I'd want to see them resolve problems through conflict without it escalating into a problem before showing this movie, just because of how it could affect them. But overall, my personal review is I really like this movie. As a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and a movie lover, I actually thought they did a good job, as good as they could have. There's some flaws. Like I said, it did feel a little forced at times, trying to get up to that escalated battle. But honestly, it's still a fun journey. I felt like the filmmakers did a great job of, again, going from this, we're an Avengers team to this really tight and close, emotionally motivated battle. Like, the music really plays well into it. I thought they did a good job. So that's my review of Captain America Civil War. Again, a fun movie, an enjoyable movie. I've shown clips of it to my kids already just because it's cool to see them interacting in this movie. But overall, I think I'd wait a little bit, just make sure that they have a certain level of maturity as far as understanding conflict and relationships and just with that general violence. So some big questions I would ask at the end of this movie is, how could Cap and Tony have communicated better to avoid conflict, to avoid fighting? I mean, what are some things, honestly, specifically, that they could have done to avoid overall fighting? What could they have explained? How could they have explained their positions? Showed a little more empathy, showed a little more understanding towards each other, towards the situation. The next question I had, and this was one that just came up for me, but what are you willing to do for your friends? Just because you see Captain America, he's willing to go against his other friends, his government, a lot of things to help, his best friend Bucky. So I would ask my kids, is he justified in doing that? So would you do that for a friend or a brother or sister, and why? So finally, just because I'm curious, I would ask, so are you Team Captain America? Are you Team Iron Man? Alright, so that's Captain America Civil War. I've already reviewed Captain America 1 and 2, so if you want to see that, go check them out in this channel. Subscribe if you like this video. You can like it below as well. Comment, let me know if you would share this with your kids and what side you'd pick. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.